Welcome to the Accounting Areas program on career paths in accounting. This program is for new UTD students just to give them an overview of the various job opportunities that UTD graduates can have once they get their master's degree in accounting. I've been asked to provide a discussion on career paths in taxation. Just by way of background, my name is Agulnek. I'm a CPA and I'm a senior lecturer here on the staff at the accounting department at UTD. And I've been teaching in the tax program for the last 10.5 years. Oftentimes people ask me, what did I do before those 10.5 years? Well, the answer is, during the years preceding my time with UTD, I was a tax partner with Ernst & Young for my entire career. I started with Arthur Young in New York City, and I wound up with Ernst & Young here in Dallas after the merger in 1989. And since 2001, I've been teaching here at University of Texas at Dallas in the accounting area, but mainly teaching taxes. Okay. The purpose of my discussion is just to provide some information to the new students on the various opportunities they can have if they major in or have a concentration in taxation. There are basically three areas that people can focus on in the area of taxation. One of them is public accounting, the next one is private accounting, and the next one is government accounting. And when I say accounting, I mean public accounting firms in their tax departments. Private accounting firms, but not even private accounting, private industry in their tax departments, and the government agencies, the government agency that has responsibility for overseeing the tax system for the country or for the state or for the city. So there are career opportunities throughout the spectrum of business for folks that major in or have a concentration in taxation. From a public accounting perspective, working in the tax department really provides a very, very broad-based experience in various elements of taxation. One element of taxation that has an important function in public accounting is corporate taxes. And it's not just filling out and completing corporate income tax returns. It's basically all the planning that goes into the preparation of the return. And I always like to look at the preparation of the return as the end result of a year full of planning. If you don't plan your taxes properly, you can have a very large tax liability at the end of the year. But if you plan your tax liability throughout the year, you can minimize the corporate tax burden. So folks who are working in a public accounting firm in the corporate area have a responsibility not only of getting the corporate tax return done, but also providing tax planning opportunities to the corporation to minimize the overall corporate tax burden. Sometimes people say, what kind of planning do you do in public accounting in the corporate area? Well, things like mergers and acquisitions, how best to structure an acquisition, how best to structure a spin-off, how best to structure payouts. So there are a whole host of issues that people working in public accounting deal with on the corporate side. Not only does the public accounting firm deal with corporate taxation, they deal with partnership taxation. Although in the U.S. partnerships do not pay an income tax, partnerships are a very interesting way of doing business in the U.S. And there are very many complicated features in the Internal Revenue Code that provide guidance in dealing with partnership issues. So the partnership focus or the partnership specialty is also an area that individuals who work in public accounting deal with. Another area that folks in public accounting deal with is financial planning. When you have executive clients, how best do you structure their taxation? How best do you structure their planning to minimize their overall tax liability? It could be providing investment advice if you have investment planners. It could be providing tax advice. It could be providing insurance advice. The whole scope of planning at an individual level falls into this gamut called financial planning. Another important area that you get involved in public accounting is the international area. If you just open a supermarket on the corner of Court and Campbell in Dallas, you don't have to worry about international planning. But if you're a major international company or if you're a growing company planning to do work outside the U.S. or outside your home country, there are many, many issues that have to be involved in structuring the business to do it outside their home country. Not only do you have to worry about U.S. taxation, you have to worry about what the impact is in the foreign jurisdiction you're working in. Just for argument's sake, if you are a U.S. corporation setting up a branch in UK, what steps do you have to take in the UK to minimize UK tax liability? What's going to be the impact on your U.S. income tax return of setting up that branch in the UK? So international also provides a role in tax planning where it also ties in to the corporate that we talked about in the beginning. Another element that falls into the public accounting environment is state and local taxation. Like I said before, if you have a grocery store that opens up on the corner of Court and Campbell, you file one state income tax return or a state franchise tax return, and that's just about it. But what if you're a corporation that has business operations in 45 states and 3 foreign countries, or 5 foreign countries, or 50 states? So these are the issues that people involved in the state and local area in public accounting deal with, helping their clients structure their business in a way to minimize their overall tax burden, not just their federal tax burden, but their state and local tax burden as well. Another area that you can focus in on in public accounting is something in the area called tax controversy. What we mean by that is oftentimes the tax authorities do not agree with the methodology that used by the corporation or the business in setting up a corporate tax structure. And they disagree with it by setting assessments to the corporation. And tax controversy specialty really is individuals who had experience negotiating and dealing with the tax authorities to get to the conclusion that you'd like, or to at least negotiate and at least convince the IRS that the position, or to convince the tax authorities that the position that you're taking is satisfactory and correct. Another area is just pure tax compliance, just sitting and preparing tax returns. Like I said before, that's part of the corporate tax part of the public accounting. It could be part of the financial planning part. It could be part of the partnership part. But these are getting the actual tax returns done and sent to the clients for filing. One of the most interesting areas, as far as I'm concerned, in the area of public accounting is the area of tax legislation. Monitoring what's happening in the Congress or the legislative body regarding federal income taxes. What changes are being proposed? What will be the impact of these changes on my business? What will be the impact of these changes on my client? Monitoring this through Congress, monitoring this through the committees of Congress, monitoring this through the administration is a very lucrative part of public accounting. And every major public accounting firm has offices in Washington, D.C., where they have staff people and executives whose responsibility it is to monitor legislation as it works its way through the halls of Congress. And usually the folks that get involved with that are former legislative personnel, people that worked in the Senate or the House Ways and Means Committee, people that have worked for the higher levels of the Internal Revenue Service. These are the folks that deal very frequently in the area of tax legislation. We can't change the legislation, but at least we can understand it and at least provide some guidance to our clients and even to the members of Congress of what the impact of the legislation is. And this is a very, very interesting area of the tax code. One thing I've really failed to touch upon in the international area is many firms have foreign desks in the U.S. or a U.S. desk in a foreign jurisdiction. So if you're working for a large public accounting firm, and let's just say, for argument, you were working for the Hong Kong office of a major accounting firm, they might send you to the U.S. to set up the Hong Kong desk in the U.S. firm. So you'll be resident in the U.S. working on Hong Kong tax affairs, and you'll be working with U.S. tax professionals to help structure business operations in Hong Kong. So there is a lot of interaction and mobility in the international tax area. Okay, let's just turn now to private accounting or private industry. What kind of job opportunities there are in private industry for people who study tax accounting at UTD. Many of them are similar, but the folks that deal in the private industry really just focus on one client, the company they work for. So all the points that we talked about before regarding planning go back to the corporation as well. Things like corporate tax planning. If you're in a corporate tax department of XYZ Corporation, you're going to be involved with tax planning for that large corporation. You're going to be involved with structuring transactions. You're going to be involved with giving advice on spin-offs of subsidiaries. You're going to be involved at a different level, but only focusing in on one client, the one you work for. And more likely than not, if you work in private industry in the corporate tax department, you're going to react very regularly with partners and managers from the public accounting firm whose client, your corporation, who you're a client of. So there's a lot of interaction between the public accounting tax people and the private industry tax people, especially in the corporate area. Private industry also have international issues. Any large corporation is doing business outside the U.S. or outside their home country. So the same way we talked about the international tax from a public accounting perspective, Private industry has same international people, but those international people are focused strictly on the international tax aspects of their client. I have a friend of mine who is a general tax counsel for a large oil company, and all he does focus on is the international tax aspects of this oil company. Of course, we have the compliance issues of getting the tax returns done, and not only the 1120 has to get done, which is the corporate income tax return, but all the subsidiary schedules and all the foreign tax reporting that goes with it. It's a complicated exercise, and some corporate tax returns are 5, 6, 7 feet thick of papers and documentations for the corporation. We talked about state and local tax before. We talked about public accounting. Same issues with respect to private industry. Corporations are constantly moving operations or setting up operations in different places. They have to know what are the tax aspects of us moving from our manufacturing plant or building a manufacturing plant in the state of Indiana. What will be the tax consequences? Can we get a relief from the government if we move there? So it's the state and local people who are involved in private industry are more likely than not former officials of state and local governments who are now working in private industry, who can assist the corporation in making the move from point A to point B at the lowest possible tax cost. And in fact, just about everything we deal with in taxation is the objective is, can we do it at the lowest possible tax cost? You don't want to do it at the maximum tax cost. Of course, that's not the right answer. Looking for the lowest possible tax cost is the way to go. So that's why corporations, not only do they rely on their public accounting firm, they also rely on internal people with the expertise. Private industry also has a need for people with specialties in sales and use tax. Very, very important part of the structure of the U.S. economy. Every jurisdiction, just about every state of our 50 states have a sales tax, and each sales tax law is different. And you have to comply with them, and you need people with the expertise internally to help you deal with all the myriad of regulations that are out there for corporations. The area of government relations is also an important part of private industry, whereby you may have people working internally who have an expertise in dealing with the regulatory agencies, the SEC, the Internal Revenue Service, the Federal Trade Commission. People who have expertise in dealing with that are government relations representatives. They're usually seasoned, long-term executives who have experience in that area. And last but not least in private industry, we also have the issue of tax controversy. The same way we had tax controversy issues in dealing with the Internal Revenue Service from a public accounting point of view, the corporation, the private industry, has issues in dealing with the federal government, the state government, the local government, the sales tax authorities, so they have to have expertise in-house to help them deal with that. And the benefit of having expertise in-house is they can control the people, they can control the cost better. So there's a demand in public accounting and private industry for similar people, and their objectives are public accounting firms really have their specialists doing work for many, many different clients, whereby in private industry, you do it for the company who you work for. Last but not least, the area of government taxation. That's sort of limited when you think about it. From a federal tax perspective, working for the Internal Revenue Service, that's the only federal tax law we have, and it's managed by or administered by the Internal Revenue Service. The Internal Revenue Service has a very, very large organization, and there are many positions available in the IRS for folks who with undergraduate degrees in tax and accounting, undergraduate degrees in taxation. And in fact, there are very many kinds of positions within the Internal Revenue Service that are not even tax-related or accounting-related. We have a professor here in one of our departments in the accounting area who's a special agent with the Internal Revenue Service, meaning he investigates fraud, and he winds up even carrying a gun when he has to. So there are lots of opportunities within the federal government for folks who have undergraduate degrees or graduate degrees in taxation. There's no other branch of the government deals with taxation, so it's really limited to working with the Internal Revenue Service, okay? Every state, all 50 states, have something like a Department of Revenue or an Office of Controller. Every state has a different name. But conceptually, what a Department of Revenue is, or the Office of Controller in a state, is they are responsible for managing and administering the state franchise tax, or the state income tax, or the state sales tax. So from a government taxation perspective, state and local the state area just deals with the state issues. And again, there are opportunities for graduates with degrees in accounting and taxation to work for a state government in the controllers or Department of Finance area. And last but not least, we have the area of local governments. Every local government have a whole potpourri of tax laws that have to be managed and administered. It could be sales tax laws. It could be property, personal property. It can be real property. It could be tangible personal property. It could be intangible property. So there are opportunities right across the gamut of governments, federal, state, and local, for folks who finish with a degree and a concentration in taxation. Okay? I hope you appreciated the fact that there are many, many job opportunities for graduates in the taxation area. Public accounting offers lots and lots of opportunities. Private industry offers lots and lots of opportunities. And governments offer lots and lots of opportunities. So people that finish with their degrees in accounting with a specialization in taxation have many opportunities in the marketplace. Now the question always comes up, especially in the area of taxation, what do I have to do to get those kind of jobs? Well, most important, you have to get the master's degree along the way. But everything, even more important than that is getting the CPA. That certificate is an important element of your professional progress. The master's degree is fine. It shows you've made some academic achievements. The CPA tells the world that you made professional achievements as well. And that is an important key for success in public accounting, in private industry, and in government accounting. And in fact, in public accounting, you really can't get to the level of manager unless you're a CPA. In private industry, you're limited to maybe just a manager level, not beyond if you don't have the CPA. In government accounting, it's not as important, but it's a nice recognition to have in your toolbox. Okay? So that's it for the area of taxation. I do wish you well when you come here, and hopefully I'll see you in one of my classes in the fall. Bye now.